Welcome to the first episode of the Windy City podcast. I'm your host, Carter, and today we got some good things to talk about. So let's get into it. First things first, happy Jordan Day. I got the jersey on. You can see. ESPN and the ACCN will be broadcasting Jordan content from documentaries to old games. I definitely recommend watching this because I will. Um, let's just simply get straight into it. I want to talk about Nikola Vucevic's 43-point bomb against the Warriors on January 15th. This game broke the 11-game losing streak we've had against the Warriors, and this is the first time we've beaten them since 2017. Vooch added in 13 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals. I didn't see this coming from him in a million years. And he's been playing okay this season. His main issue, as well as the Bulls in general, is just our inconsistency. I mean, just look at the Vooch cycle here. I expect him to average at least a double-double every game as a starting center in the NBA. And I can say that I've been decently happy with how he's played this season. We didn't bring him in to carry like he did tonight, but it certainly helps when he does. In addition to Vooch's career high game, Zach contributed 27 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. I'd say this was a pretty good game for Zach. I'm just happy he didn't put up 12 points. Back to the inconsistency thing. He has got to be one of the most inconsistent players on our team. One night he'll go for 50, and then the next he'll have like 12 points. I can see why we signed him to a max contract, and we definitely should have. Our team would definitely not be nearly as good as we are now without him. I just feel like the only way we could have kept him here was with that max contract. Overall, for this game, I feel it was a pretty good win for us. Losing to the same team for over 5 years gets pretty annoying. And I am surprised that we won without DeMar DeRozan. DeMar had a quad strain this game, which lasted up to 4 weeks. Um, at the time, I didn't know how I felt about him coming back to play against the Pistons on Thursday. And I didn't want him coming back too soon and forcing himself to play through an injury against mid teams like the Pistons and Hawks and the Pacers. But if he's good, then why not? But if he gets hurt again and then the injury's worse, we're kind of screwed. The next game I'm going to cover is the Bulls game in Paris on February 19th. This is the first time the Bulls have been to Paris since Jordan days. Levine had 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. It seems that since the big incident in the locker room earlier this season, which is pretty much everyone pointing fingers at Zach for not playing good, that he's turned things around. Since January 9th, Levine has scored at least 25 points per game, which is enough to pull his own weight. DeMar had 26 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. Given that he's still not 100% and definitely should not be playing that game, I'd say this is more than good. I still don't think he should be playing, even if he is able to put up a normal contribution. But if he feels that he's physically normal, then I'm all for it. Vooch had 16 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists. This is his 10th game straight with a double-double. He did, however, go 0 for 5 from the three-point line, which does concern me a good bit. Normally, he's somewhat of a decent three-point shooter, but at the same time, when I see he went 0 for 5, I'm not surprised. The Bulls of his team are not great beyond the arc, and I feel like this is definitely something we need to work on. And 16 points is not a bad game for him. I mean, given he averages 17.5 points per game, as long as he controls the glass and gives us a presence in the paint on both ends of the floor, I'm happy with Vooch. Overall, great team effort. Kobe White, Derrick Jones Jr., and Ayo Dosunmu all hit double digits. One thing to work on as a team, like I said earlier, is making more threes. Going 7 for 23 is horrible. I mean, if the shots were falling tonight, we could have put them away way sooner, but a win is a win at the end of the day. Next, let's go to the Bulls win over the Hawks 111-100 on January 23rd. DeMar had 26 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals in his 1,000th NBA game of his career. Again, I'm not mad about DeMar's contribution. I mean, scoring for the Bulls was pretty distributed this game, so no one really had a breakout game. Levine had 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals. I mean, not bad as long as he can stay above that 20-point threshold. I really don't have much to complain about from him. I still expect more from a max player, but I mean, he's been playing pretty good. So it's okay that he's not producing as much as I'd like. It's pretty much impossible to maintain a high streak of scoring like that. He did, however, struggle from 3, going 2 for 7. And I feel like our struggle as a team to hit from 3 comes from Vooch, Kobe White, and Zach, seeing how they're the main ones shooting. Kobe went 2 for 9 from the three against the Hawks. And Vooch had 14 points, 17 rebounds, and 7 assists, and shots weren't falling for him either tonight. He definitely controlled the glass, which is what our team really needs. If Vooch doesn't get that double-double every night, we're just going to lose. I'd say rebounding is something that kind of keeps us in games, and when we don't have that, it's like the last thing we have keeping us up. Pat Williams had 18 points and 9 rebounds. I mean, this makes me pretty happy when I see him go off and score. He was very efficient with his shot collection. He was pretty efficient with his shot selection. I know that he won't be putting up big numbers like this soon, but he was definitely one of the bigger contributors in our win tonight. The next game I'm going to cover is the Bulls lost to the Hornets 111-96. This is just pretty unacceptable. Let's look objectively before we go pointing fingers, though. DeMar had 28 points and 5 assists. Levine had 18 points and 9 rebounds. Pat Williams had 15 points, 5 rebounds. And Vooch had 12 points and 9 rebounds. So first, I'm gonna point fingers. I'm gonna start with Vooch. Mason Plumlee, he's an average center. I don't think he's good, but I don't think he's bad. And I definitely am going to pick Vooch 9 out of 10 times to do better than him. But I guess tonight was that 1 out of 10 chance. Plumlee had 21 points and 12 rebounds. And for Vooch to be outplayed, out-hustled, and outclassed by Plumlee is pretty unacceptable. Additionally, Terry Rozier had 28 points. I'm not going to really blame anyone else for our lazy defense because, he matched DeMar, and I expect someone on every team to match our top performance, if not beat it. The main thing that makes me mad, besides the fact that we lost the Hornets, is that their go-to guy played horrible. LaMelo Ball had 15 points on 2 for 19 shooting, and we gave him 9 free throws, by the way. He literally took himself out of the game, and we somewhat brought him back into it with the free throws. Going into the half, the Bulls were up 55-47, and no surprise here, we gave it up. We allowed them to tie the game up at 71 late in the third, and then they ran away with it. To make matters worse, our bench combined for 11 points. They all played around 20 minutes, with the exception of Dalen Terley, who only got a minute. The bench went 4 for 13, and that is simply not aggressive enough. Kobe took the majority of the shots for the bench and hit 2 threes, but missed the other 7 shots. And I feel like ball movement has become the issue with the Bulls now, seeing that we can't get everyone involved. As a team, we only had 16 assists, and the Hornets had 24. We were also out-rebounded 52-43. And I'm going to blame that on Vooch and Pat Williams. They combined for 14 rebounds, which is the minimum of what Vooch needs to get per night, I feel. Vooch's main job is to play okay defense, get rebounds, and not force shots, and he did everything of that tonight. He went 0 for 6 from 3 and 5 for 16 on the night, and this is unacceptable from what he has shown us he's capable of producing. Another big factor in us losing against the Hornets that night was that we went 4 for 25 from 3. This is horrible. I mean, I would imagine seeing this stat in a middle school game, not an NBA game. The Bulls are playing with no urgency right now, and I believe that we can be a winning team with what we have, but it's only when we choose to be. I mean, I think that they think that the same spot as last year, where, we're the first seed, we're the top of the league, whatnot. We are as far from that as we can possibly be. I don't think we're currently making the playoffs right now. If the playoffs were to start today, we're not making it. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that game anymore. That was just a bad game. The next thing I want to cover is the Bulls win over the Magic, 128-109. This game was definitely won by the starters. They had 106 points tonight, which is horrifying. We have no depth. If the starters don't get it done, the bench can't keep us in the game. DeMar had 32 points and 8 assists. Levine also had 32 points. Vooch had 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists. Pat Williams had 16 points and 6 rebounds. And, I kind of feel that we got lucky tonight. We were up by 25 at one point, and we allowed the Magic to bring us back down to 6. And normally we lose games when we can't protect the lead. Random fact, DeMar went 8 minutes in the first quarter without taking a shot, and the fact that he still dropped 32 to me is very surprising. Overall, for that game, I mean, it's the Magic. We're supposed to win against teams like them. I think everyone is. so I'm not going to really say too much. I mean, the starters got it done the night, and the bench let us down again. But on the other hand, we're going to go to when the Bulls play the Hornets again, and the bench actually did something tonight. The Bulls won 114-98 on February 2nd against the Hornets. Ayo Dosunmu had 22 points. Kobe White had 20 points. Andre Drummond had 15 points and 11 rebounds. And Vooch contributed 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists, with DeMar putting up 15 points. I also want to mention Zach had 10, but we're not going to focus on that. Ayo went 9 for 10 on the night, which is pretty impressive. Anyone can tell us it was an amazing game for him, let alone most players in the league. I'm just glad to see that he was taking efficient shots and not forcing anything. Other side, Kobe White finally started playing basketball tonight. You know, it's nice to have some bench contribution from him, and but I don't think he'll turn this game into like a habit or a streak. I definitely am gonna get into more of him later. As for Drummond, this is the exact reason why we need to play him more. He is the first player in almost 45 years since Daryl Dawkins to put up 15 points and 11 rebounds while playing less than 15 minutes. If we play him more, he will produce more. He's a consistent rebounder, and he's a very efficient at that. So I'm all for Drummond getting more minutes. And I think, you know, when we don't play him 5 to 7 games straight, it just makes us look stupid because I know plenty of teams that need rebounding, and we are one of them. So why not play him more? The last thing I want to cover from this game is Alex Caruso. He went out of the game in the second quarter after only scoring, or not after only scoring, but he scored 7 points in 7 minutes, and he left the game with a right foot sprain. As of February 3rd, which is today, we don't know how serious this injury is. I just hope it's nothing major because we need all the energy he brings to us. Now let's look closer in the individuals. This is more of my advanced coverage of sorts about individual players in our team. And we're going to start with probably the biggest news we have going for us right now is Lonzo Ball. While he is noticeably recovering, and a video resurfaced maybe like a month ago of him dunking, I mean, it's still a massive improvement for him from not being able to run to, you know, he's able to jump a little bit. I don't think he's going to come back this season. That knee is still causing him trouble, and the medical staff does not know why. It would be stupid if he was able to recover to go the whole regular season without him and then just throwing him back into the rotation in the playoffs. That's going to hurt all of our shifts and going to put a lot of pressure on him that he doesn't need. The next player I want to cover is Ayo Dosunmu. I'm not going to lie. I used to hate this guy, especially watching him, like, you know, take stupid shots in his last college game at Illinois. But after watching him play his rookie season in the NBA, I saw how much he grew as a player. You know, I quickly started to like him. He wasn't forcing. You could clearly tell that he developed and learned a lot of things over the summer and into the transition to the NBA. This is his second season in the NBA, and he's currently our starting point guard due to Lonzo Ball being out. He averages 9.1 points per game and 2.6 assists per game. I don't think he's quite ready to start, especially as a point guard. Like I said, back to that assists he averaged. I mean, 2.6 assists is pretty low for a starting point guard. And it is hard to replace a healthy Lonzo Ball in the rotation who mainly facilitates but can also score. I feel like he would thrive coming off the bench for Levine at 2, but in Lonzo's absence, he is our best option. The next player I'm going to cover is Andre Drummond. I'm not sure how I feel about our acquisition of Andre Drummond only because of how the coaching staff is treating him. Overall, I feel like he's a great pickup, but he's not getting minutes, so he can't do what we brought him here to do. Now, we're not paying him much. We're paying him, $3.5 million a year, so he's not taking up much cap space. And like I said, Billy Donovan is not playing him at all. So when we have games where we struggle to rebound, it doesn't help that we're sitting him. He has 4 rebounding titles. He clearly knows how to rebound and play like solid defense. So when Vooch isn't in, I think we should put him in. But Billy Donovan thinks otherwise. So you know, that's just dumb. The next player I'm going to cover is Pat Williams. I like Patrick Williams. Every once in a while we get to see flashes of Kawhi Leonard when he's performing his best. This is his third season in the NBA. He was hurt for a good bit last season, and I think we should keep him around because if we can develop him into the right direction, he could be a lethal, undersized power forward, very similar to the Kawhi. The main thing that the Bulls are lacking in a point guard right now in Lonzo's absence is a power forward in general. I don't feel like Pat Williams is a true power forward, and I don't know if we need him to be, but we need something that we can lean on him every night to do. And I feel like if we develop him the right way, we can get something out of that. The next player I'm going to cover is Kobe White. In terms of Kobe White, I'm pretty disappointed with how he's playing this season. It's his fourth season in the league, and I feel like his development is not going well at all. Either we are doing something wrong or he is doing something wrong. I think maybe it's a bit of both. He currently averages 8.4 points per game, and he has games where he's decent, but most of the time it's just him playing decent defense and missing shots on offense. I honestly don't know what his trade value could be, and I assume it wouldn't be much. Our best bet is probably to throw him in a package before the trade deadline. The wrong decision is not making a roster move before February 9th. A recent trade proposal has been going around the internet, which is we throw in maybe some picks or the Suns throw in some picks, but it's Kobe White for Jay Crowder, and this is just a horrible trade. While Kobe White brings little value to our team, Crowder would bring even less. We don't need a player of his caliber on the team, especially with Drummond sitting on the bench. And I'm glad this was shot down because this does not need to happen. And the last thing I plan to cover or person is Billy Donovan. For those of you who don't know, Billy Donovan is the current coach of the Chicago Bulls. I'm not going to go in much detail about him, but I don't think he's done much coaching since the Bulls have picked him up. Now, he is an upgrade from Jim Boylan, but anyone is, I feel like. Last season, our sole success was based on the fact that DeMar DeRozan was playing like an MVP caliber player. Zach balled out, and Vooch was a very good improvement from Wendell Carter and had some very good games. And also, Lonzo helped out a ton in the few games he was able to play. Like, we had a really legit team before injuries kind of screwed us over. But back how this relates to Billy Donovan is he didn't have much coaching to do last season. I kind of view him as a less successful Steve Kerr in that he backseat coaches, I feel. The younger guys definitely need that coaching from him, and I don't know if he's giving it to them. But I feel like the older guys have enough experience to where he doesn't really need or feel the need to coach them. And, this is not the case. While those guys are well-respected vets, we can't close games and we can't keep a lead. That's something we need to be working on as a team. And in addition, Donovan is sitting Drummond and Dalen Terry, which is uncalled for. We're benching one of the best rebounders in the league and one of our new rookies who has potential to be decent in the next couple of years doesn't get to play. How is he going to develop if he doesn't play? We lack depth, and this can be solved by throwing different guys in the rotation and seeing what we can get. But it's gonna wrap it up for today's episode. I'm pretty excited to cover the games we have coming up going in the All-Star weekend. And I don't know if you guys saw, but DeMar DeRozan is an All-Star reserve, which I mean, we're obviously not, or we haven't gotten the same DeMar that we got last season. But I'm still happy nonetheless he's an All-Star. I don't think Zach LaVine made it this year, and I don't think he deserves to. And I definitely think there's a lot of guys that should have made it that didn't in general, but that's same thing's going to happen every year. But I'm your host Carter, and thank you listening for the. I'm your host Carter, and thank you for listening to the Windy City podcast. I hope to see you guys soon. Peace.